Hey all, Ron here from Military Images Magazine with a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. Arguably one of the best known writings of the Civil War and all of U.S. military history is Major General William T. Sherman's message to President Abraham Lincoln following the capture of Savannah, the culminating action of his 1864 march to the sea across the state of Georgia. That message reads Savannah, Georgia, December 22nd, 1864, to His Excellency President Lincoln, Washington, D.C. I beg to present you as a Christmas gift the city of Savannah with 150 heavy guns and plenty of ammunition, also about 25,000 bales of cotton. W.T. Sherman, Major General. This message was published in newspapers across the United States to delighted Union loyal patriots. In modern vernacular, it went viral. The news from Sherman was yet another nail in the Confederate coffin. The war was only months away from ending. Like all memorable moments, there are individuals who played key roles and whose names have been largely forgotten in history. With Sherman's Christmas message, an obscure special agent from the U.S. Treasury Department gets the credit for suggesting to Major General Sherman that he might want to send the president a note about Savannah as a Christmas gift. That special agent is named Albert Gallatin Brown. His life dates are 1805 to 1885. He was a native of Salem, Massachusetts, was a partner in a firm that manufactured ropes for ships. After the war started, Brown became the special supervising agent for the U.S. Treasury Department in Beaufort, Port Royal, and Charleston, South Carolina, and Savannah. Brown was tasked with seizing supplies and goods that had been abandoned by the Confederate Army. Brown would gather up the items and ship them north. He also supervised the trade and disbursement of seized property in U.S. occupied areas under his jurisdiction. All of this work was done quietly by him and largely under the radar. Brown's connection to Sherman's Christmas message is described by Sherman himself in his 1875 memoir. I want to read Sherman's entire passage because it includes what I think is a really well-written description of Savannah, and it also includes a little bit of tension between the encounter that he had with Special Agent Brown. So here we go from Sherman's 1875 memoir. Quote, "The city of Savannah was an old place and usually accounted a handsome one. Its houses were of brick or frame, with large yards ornamented with shrubbery and flowers, its streets perfectly regular, crossing each other at right angles, and at many of the intersections were small enclosures in the nature of parks. These streets and parks were lined with the handsomest shade trees of which I have knowledge, viz., the willow leaf live oak, evergreens of exquisite beauty, and the certainly entitled Savannah to its reputation as a handsome town more than the houses which, though comfortable, would hardly make a display on Fifth Avenue or the Boulevard Haussmann of Paris. The city was built on a plateau of sand about 40 feet above the level of the sea, abutting against the river, leaving room along its margin for a street of stores and warehouses. The custom house, courthouse, post office, etc., were on the plateau above. In rear of Savannah was a large park with a fountain, and between it and the courthouse was a handsome monument erected to the memory of Count Pulaski, who fell in 1779 in the assault made on the city at the time it was held by the English during the Revolutionary War. Outside of Savannah, there was very little to interest a stranger except the cemetery of Bonaventure, and the ride along the Wilmington Channel by way of Thunderbolt, where might be seen some groves of the majestic live oak trees covered with gray and funereal moss, which were truly sublime in grandeur, but gloomy after a few days camping under them. Within an hour of taking up my quarters in Mr. Green's house, Mr. A.G. Brown, that's our hero, Albert Gallatin Brown, of Salem, Massachusetts, United States Treasury agent for the Department of the South, made his appearance to claim possession in the name of the Treasury Department of all captured cotton, rice, buildings, etc. Having use for these articles ourselves, and having fairly earned them, I did not feel inclined to surrender possession and explained to him that the quartermaster and commissary could manage them more to my liking than he. But I agreed after the proper inventories had been prepared, if there remained anything for which we had no special use, I would turn it over to him. It was then known that in the warehouses were stored at least 25,000 bales of cotton, and in the forts 150 large, heavy seacoast guns, although afterward, on a more careful count, there proved to be more than 250 seacoast or siege guns and 31,000 bales of cotton. At that interview, Mr. Brown, who was a shrewd, clever Yankee, told me that a vessel was on the point of starting for Old Point Comfort, and if she had good weather off Cape Hatteras, would reach Fortress Monroe, Virginia on Christmas Day, and he suggested that I might make it the occasion of sending a welcome Christmas gift to the President, Mr. Lincoln, who peculiarly enjoyed such pleasantry. I accordingly sat down and wrote on a slip of paper, the one that you can see right here, which is now in the National Archives, to be left at the telegraph office at Fortress Monroe for transmission, the following: Savannah, Georgia, December 22nd, 1864. To His Excellency President Lincoln, Washington, D.C., I beg to present you, as a Christmas gift, the city of Savannah, with 150 heavy guns and plenty of ammunition, also about 25,000 bales of cotton. W.T. Sherman, Major General. This message actually reached him on Christmas Eve, was extensively published in the newspapers, and made many a household happy, unusually happy, on that festive day. So there you have it, the story behind Sherman's Christmas gift message about the capture of Savannah being presented to President Abraham Lincoln. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail.